What is poppin', my lovely islanders? It is Sydney Island here. That's Island with the Y, not an S. And today, I gotta sing because it helps me to it relieves the nerves a little bit to sing. Because after doing YouTube for almost 5 freaking years, is it 5 years? It's been a minute. It's been since 2018. I still have anxiety when I turn the camera on, just a little bit. Sometimes more than others. Sometimes I'm more relaxed. Sometimes I'm not. But anyways, y'all don't care about that. Let's talk about my cult experience. This is part two, by the way. Ooh, I got 56 whole minutes to talk about this. Oh, snap, sister. Okay. Okay. Last time I only had 36 minutes of space. Now I got 56. Girl, okay. That's God right there, because I got a lot more to say. And I was worried that I wouldn't be able to have enough space and time to say it. So, okay, that's what's up. Before I get into part two, which was the experience when this young African American female came to the shelter. She was like the same. No, she was not the same age as me. She was a few years older than me, actually. She was in her 30s, her early 30s. I was 25, and I believe she was like 31 or something like that. 31, 32, something like that. And so she was a little older than me. So I kind of looked up to her, kind of like as an older sister in a way. I forgot about that. I forgot she was older than me. I'm like, whoa, no wonder I was like listening to her and all of that because she was like an older sibling. But before I get into that, I really want to say this. I want to send a message to other young females who you're kind of in a situation where, let's say you got kicked out, you're 16, you're 18, 20, however old, and you got kicked out and you don't have anywhere to go. I want you to watch this video because when you're a young female like that and you don't have anywhere to go, you can be easy prey to predators, especially predatory men, okay? And not all the predators have a desire to assault you in a sexual way. Some of them, like in my case, it wasn't sexual at all, thank God, but it was mental. So he used my mind. I gotta look at the camera. He used my mind against me. He would use my past experiences against me, to make me feel guilty, to make me feel bad, and to essentially take my power from me to give himself more power. Because that's what insecure narcissists do, okay? And so I just want to just advise young women to guard your heart and guard your mind. It's really a battle of the mind. When I left home after having that argument, and I was out there for 9 months, back and forth from different places, not really having a stable home. I was in this homeless shelter, then I was in this mental health facility, then I was in a different shelter, then I was staying with a friend, and then I was staying with a random dude that I didn't know, and it was just so unstable. And I just, during that whole experience, I felt like I was always fighting for my own mind because I felt lost. And people preyed on the fact that I didn't have anywhere to go and that I seemed lost. They preyed on that and kind of always felt like they needed to teach me something and that I was so lost. And they would pretty much put these ideas in my mind that just, it didn't really resonate with me. It didn't really fit with me. And during this whole journey, I just realized that I can't be molded. Okay, like I was born to be a leader, like Mr. Tate said. I was born to be a leader. Yeah, that's what I learned. So anyways, let's just get into it. So um, I advise you to watch part one. That's going to be in the corner up here. It's called I Was in a Cult and Didn't Know It. Oh my. Yeah, so it's going to be up here. And I'm also going to put the link for that video in the description box below. So make sure y'all check that out. Okay, so let's just give it, let me give y'all a quick rundown. So after I had this huge fight with my family, I there's events that happen between that, but go watch the first video so y'all can find out what that was. But I ended up in this homeless shelter that I called the Cult Center, ran by a 63-year-old white man named Mr. Tate. Okay, that's not his real name, of course. I'm giving him a fake name, and his name is Mr. Tate in this video. And this was a Christian homeless shelter and also a halfway house, and it was a place where a lot of women went. Some of them were court ordered to be there because they like literally had to be there because they got in trouble with the law. And I learned, interacting with people who got in trouble with the law and were like kind of like I guess society's rebels were actually like really sweet people. Like it was a lot of really sweet women in that shelter, and a lot of them were involved with drugs and made the wrong choice at the wrong time. A lot of them weren't bad people. A lot of them were actually like really good people that just made bad decisions. And so it made me kind of wonder what, like, how bad are prisoners? It made me really wonder, like, are all the prisoners in prison like really bad? They can't be, because I'm in this shelter and all these women are like, they got in trouble with the law and they're actually like really not even criminals. They're like really good people. So that I learned a lot from that experience. So yeah, I'm like telling myself, pace yourself, Sydney, pace yourself. You have a lot to say, and give yourself the space and the energy to say it. Okay. So in the beginning of this experience, I trusted Mr. Tate and I loved him. You know, I didn't mention that in the beginning. I want to go even deeper as to say that he was a father figure to me because growing up, I didn't have a father. So I looked up to him. He gave me a really good Christmas. He got us all these Christmas gifts. And I looked at him like, wow, he's providing for me more than my father ever did. So I trusted him and I loved him. Okay. I loved him like a father. But he started showing me these traits and other he had these other sides to his personality that I realized I started to think that he really didn't have my best interest in mind, you know, and I didn't really notice it until this other girl came into the shelter. This other black girl who was in her early 30s, and I'm gonna name her Tati, okay? I'm gonna name her Tati. We had a little nickname for her. So I'm gonna call her Tati. Of course, it's nothing like her real name. I'm not gonna give her real name away. But it was a really it felt positive when I was in the shelter. I was bonding with a lot of the women there, but there was always this dark cloud over the whole experience, and it was Mr. Tate. A lot of the women were nervous around him. All of the women, including me, were scared of him because he would yell at the women and raise his voice over the simplest little thing. And he had an anger problem. Like sometimes you could just see this anger in his face and wasn't nothing even going on for him to be mad. Like I just would see this anger like he literally wanted to like beat the crap out of somebody. And he admitted that for 2 years, he physically abused his wife. For 2 years, he was a physically abusive man. He admitted that in his past, before he got saved by Jesus, that he used to be a wicked man. This was his words. He said, I used to be a wicked man. And I was just like, okay, well, he's a pastor now. He's a good man. He's been saved by the Lord. Okay, he's been saved by the Lord. Hallelujah. You know what I'm saying? He's not that person anymore. And then Tati came into the situation and she started making me see things. And it was the whole experience became very supernatural, okay? Because mind you, the first 2 months I was in this illusion that this man was like my savior and that he was going to save me from I don't know what. I don't even know. My own lostness. I don't know. He kept trying to convince me that I was like this broken person that needed his help. And that was his way of manipulating the women. He would convince these women that they were broken. He would beat them down and make them feel like they were inferior, that they were weak. He said to me, he said, you're weak. And it just didn't resonate. Like at the time, it was like, you know how like my whole life I've always considered myself to be a strong person because I'm a Taurus, right? We're very strong minded people. That's where that stubbornness comes in that people are always like, oh, Tauruses are so stubborn. Like, yes. And it's because we're strong and we're unmovable. If we don't trust you, we're not going to listen to you. But that's the thing. He earned my trust. He got my trust with his supposed abilities where he said that he asked God to give him the gift to read into people's hearts. And so when he was on the phone with me, this is before he met me in person. It was kind of like doing like an interview for me to be able to get into the shelter or whatever. And he was like, you were born to be a leader. And some of the stuff he said was true, y'all. Some of the stuff he said, he really could see that in me. But then some stuff I I overlooked the fact that some stuff didn't make sense. I overlooked the fact that like he would say, "Oh, you gave up. You know, you gave up," and I'm like, I didn't give up ever, not once. Like I've been working on YouTube like it's nobody's business. I always still continue to have the desire to do acting and music, which is my dreams. I've never given up on my dreams. I'm almost 30 and I still like have this desire to to be a performance artist like that. No one can take that away from me. Like he said, oh, and then you gave up. Like what? He would say stuff, and it's like, because he was such a good manipulator, you actually believed it. You actually felt that it was true, and it wasn't true. I'm not. It's not like me to give up. I only give up on things that drain my energy and they don't resonate with me. But anyways, there were some things that did resonate, and it was the things that did resonate that is why I had that love and that trust. you know when I got off the phone with him, I'm like, I said to the ladies that was put that, I mean, I go on into that, whatever. I said to these ladies, I like him. I said, I like him. He actually had me in tears. He was like, you're born to be a leader. You're tired of always trying to please people. You spent your whole life trying to please people. You're ready to break free from that. And that was true. It was very true. And I confessed to him that, a lot of stuff, that I could relate to Michael Jackson, my idol, just being an artist and being a misfit and being misunderstood. And, he said a lot of stuff to me, that, it made sense. He was like, you're always in the wrong environment. You never really feel like that you're in the right environment to be able to express who you really are. And that was very true. He said things that were very true. Like he did have some sort of gift, but everything he said wasn't the truth. Some stuff he said was. And this is just the best way that I can describe how I feel about him and his abilities. Some stuff really did hit. It really did hit. And I overlooked the stuff that didn't. I feel like some of the stuff he said may have been, he was making stuff up to manipulate me. So, anyways, I still to this day am trying to get over the anger that I have towards him, just for humiliating me so badly in front of the women. And a lot of the times I always felt that I did something wrong and that there was something wrong with me. And, oh, I can't do nothing right. How come all these meetings are against me? And a part of it was that I was, you know, rebellious, I guess. I don't even know. Like looking back on it, I really just think that he was drawn to me, and he was a little bit jealous of me. Um, I'm not even really sure why. I just felt an energy of jealousy, and I don't know. I don't know why. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know why he kept having meetings against me more than everybody else. I just feel like he was drawn to me. I don't know really what that was about, but he just wanted. Oh, it was because I carried myself in like a vulnerable kind of way, and he preyed on that. Like he needed somebody vulnerable around him to give him some sort of power, because I feel, and he, of course he would never admit this in a million years, but that he suffered from deep feelings of emasculation and insecurity. And maybe he had a small little, and he it was sharp, like tossing and turning late at night. Like, I got a little Vienna sausage. I got a little Vienna sausage. The only way I can feel like a real man is if I make women feel like crap about themselves. So yeah, a whole pastor, right? And so, I took notes on the situation, but um uh so Tati came into the situation, right? And I noticed that her vibe was just different from everybody else. Like I always consider myself to be a star seed. You know what I'm saying? An indigo child, a crystal child. I'm like, I'm very spiritual, and I have these abilities and gifts that I don't even know where the hell they came from, and I don't know how to. Sometimes I don't even know how to describe it. Like physical empathy, like somebody touch me, I feel a whole energy from them. I need to make a story time about the time I had a friend touch me on my shoulder, and my whole entire shoulder went numb from the part that he touched me all the way down to my fingertips. I have these abilities, and these abilities, they extend to my artwork. I've always had super creative abilities. I paint, I do music, I'm a writer. I mean, I've always had a lot of talents, and I always chalked it up to like me being a multi-dimensional starseed. So what was I saying? Okay, so Tati came in and she had a certain different vibe. A lot of people, they had that Christian conforming kind of vibe in the shelter. They all conformed. They all were like, I'm Christian, Jesus is everything, and it's just they just did what they were told. And Tati had an energy of like me, like just being so unique and different. You know what I'm saying? She had dreads, and I'm gonna be honest, like I had a crush on her, And later on down the line, I did have a sexual experience with her, but that was outside of the shelter. We actually met up outside of the shelter, but that's another story for a different video. But yeah, so she was different. She was dark skinned, to me, really, really beautiful. Like I was really attracted to her. I thought she was sexy. Like she had a nice big booty. She had like a beautiful big tomato booty, like apple booty, like gorgeous. Like they're thick in all the right places. Okay, beautiful dark skin, like really pretty, like powerful, fiery, light brown eyes. And she was a Scorpio. Scorpio. They're scary, they're crazy, but they're very powerful. And I'm a Taurus, which is Scorpio's opposite sign. You know what I'm saying? So there was this duality between us, of her being a shadow worker, her being able to see the shadow in people and the darkness in people, and me always wanting to see the light in people and always wanting to see the good in people. So Mr. Tate, although he made me feel uncomfortable a lot, I overlooked that and would only look at the good in him. And that's something that it's also, it's a weakness and a strength in me, where I give people the benefit of the doubt. It's that Taurus shit. Like we give people the benefit of the doubt and we see the good in people, even though they have red flags and they do us dirty sometimes and they act a little shady. We still like, but they have this quality about them that's so beautiful. Oh, but she's so talented. Oh, but he's so giving. Oh, but he's so intuitive. And it's like I just see these the good in people, even when they act a little funny. But Tati, she actually had told me that she had been in that shelter before, and she told that man off and was like, "You have a God complex," and she went off on this man. And then he kicked her out because of that, because he don't like people talking back. Like that's one thing he was not going to tolerate, was people standing up to him. He didn't like for any woman to have the confidence to stand up to him, because his way was to make women feel insecure, to make himself feel like the man. Okay. And I still have issues, like I guess with trust because of him. I don't really like, I'm paranoid now that people are trying to manipulate me because of him. When somebody says something, or they ask me a question about something personal, I'm side eyeing them like, why you want to know? Why you want to know? What is it to you? You know what I'm saying? You know, so I'm kind of paranoid, and you know, but I learned a lot. I learned a lot. So Tati told me, she was like, "You think that this man is such a good man, he's such a sweet man, but he said he was a wicked man, and that wickedness is still in him." That's what she told me, and I won't forget it. She was like, "That wickedness is still in that man." And a lot of women in the shelter, like one of the women said that she felt like she had to walk on eggshells around him. You know, she was scared of him. A lot of women were scared of him, and I was scared of him. I was very scared of him. Sometimes I didn't even like for him to look at me for too long, you know? Like when he would look at me, sometimes I would feel uncomfortable because I would feel like that he was like analyzing me, and fishing for an insecurity and a vulnerability in me to, you know, use it against me somehow. Like that's what I would sense from him. And I'm intuitive as fuck, so oh god, damn, I cussed. You know, somebody, oh god, these TikTok notifications, damn. Anyways, they probably might demonetize me a little bit because I used the F word. But anyways, yeah, like I said, I'm very intuitive. Okay, so me and Tati had a very, 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 very deep spiritual connection, to the point where I felt like she was possibly my sister in a past life. Okay, so she started pointing out these things about him. You know, she's like, "This man, he's taking your power from you," and I didn't see it like that. Everybody else in the shelter kept telling me, "This man's trying to discipline you. He's just trying to discipline you because, you know, you didn't have a father growing up. He's your discipline. He's that fatherly discipline." And so I believed it. I was like, okay, like he's yelling at me for the littlest thing. He's humiliating me in front of these women at any chance he can get. One time I asked him if I could lay down, if I could have a day to just like lay down in the bed, because we weren't allowed to like lay down. Like we could only lay down after 5 o'clock. Like you had to have a pass to be able to lay down in the freaking bed, which I thought was stupid. And I messaged him. I'm like, "Hey, Mr. Tate, can I lay down for a couple of days, because I'm having like horrible menstrual cramps from the devil." And my cramps was like so bad because I was eating dairy at the time, and dairy makes my cramps horrible. And I was listening to him telling me that I need to like him and other ladies, they didn't understand me being vegan when I went into there. Like, I'm different, yo. Like, I'm vegan. I want to have like I'm all about the crystals, okay? Like, I'm different. And I came in there like, I'm vegan. And everybody thought I was like weird for that because everybody was like chomping on cow parts all day, and I'm like, yo, like, you're like eating clumps of flesh and sitting in your intestines, and it's causing parasites. And I was stupid enough to actually like go back on my word and start eating meat and eating dairy because I was being influenced by my environment, you know. And so I had horrible menstrual cramps. And it was going on for so long, like longer than usual. And it's because of the damn dairy. I don't even really be having cramps if I don't eat dairy. But I had these horrible, horrible cramps, and it was lasting for a long time. And I was like, okay, I can't take this anymore. I need to lay down because we weren't allowed to lay down until for like a whole 24 hours. We only could lay down after 5 o'clock. So I was like, I just need to lay down. Like, I feel horrible. Like, I'm having all these cramps. The menstrual, the PMS symptoms was off the chain. And one time, I messaged him and I said, can I lay down for a couple of days? And and then he was messaging me talking about it's too early because I messaged him pretty early in the morning. It was like 7 a.m. in the morning. And he was like, it's too early to be messaging me about that. And that you're being inconvenient. It's inconvenient for me. You messaging me about this. And oh, and da da da. And then next thing you know, he has this meeting with all the ladies because I asked him to lay down for 2 days because I had menstrual cramps. And then he was telling me, pretty much telling me that my menstrual cramps wasn't that bad, and that, oh well, you're pretty much telling me I'm being dramatic. When I think about it, that makes me so mad. You don't know what it's like to have a vagina. So how can you tell me that I'm being dramatic? I'm being dramatic because you can't feel this pain. I was in pain for like 10 days. Like, I'm literally mad. Like, I'm still mad. And this happened a year ago. You're gonna tell me, oh well, my wife had her menstrual cramps was so bad, she had endometriosis so bad, she lost her womb, blah blah blah. That's her. And just because her issue may have been worse than mine, it doesn't take away from my pain. And he always would try to take my pain. Like, I literally could cry right now. Like, he would always try to invalidate my pain. And he would always try to invalidate my kindness. When I would do kind things for somebody, he would always invalidate that. And I wish I could have cussed his ass out before I left. Nigga, you look like you're pregnant with triplets. And you're a whole ass man. That's why you mad. Because you got the body of a woman, you mad. You got titties and you got a womb, you mad. Just jealous because I'm skinny. I ain't body shaming, but maybe that was what the jealousy was, that he looked like he was pregnant with triplets and I didn't. I don't know, but that pissed me off. Pretty much had a whole meeting, and he had this cheesy ass like moment before asking all the ladies, do you think it's bad for a woman to message me at 5 o'clock in the morning? And of course all the ladies who's kissing the life out of his butt is gonna be like, oh, Mr. Tate, that's so bad of her. Why would she do that? That's so inconsiderate. And all the ladies all agreeing with him and sitting there. And of course, he didn't reveal that I was the girl that messaged him early in the morning. So I had to sit there and do this nauseating experience of him creating this image of this girl who's breaking the rules and doing such horrific things because she want to lay down because she got some fucking cramps. I'm mad. I'm really mad. I need to laugh to keep from punching the camera or something. Okay, let me not punch. That would be stupid to punch the camera. But and then he went around the whole room, and I was the last woman that he got to. He was like, I know I keep bouncing off. We're gonna get the Tati. We're gonna get the Tati because I explained this to Tati, and oh yeah, Tati was there. Oh my gosh, I forgot she was there. This was when she was actually there, and she was trying to defend me in the situation. And she was like, well, when you're in pain, you're not really thinking straight, blah blah. She was like trying to like make it look like it wasn't so bad because it really wasn't. At the end of the day, a woman should have a right to lay down when she's in pain because of her womanly issues. Just because I messaged him at 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock in the morning, just because I messaged him too early and it was inconvenient for him. Okay, I'm sorry. Damn, I was in pain. And I didn't, and we had to get up like really, 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 really early in the morning. And I didn't want to have to get up and act like I'm about to hop up and do all the stuff while I'm in pain. I just wanted to be able to lay down. I just want to know that I whatever. So, anyways, in this meeting, he finally got to me. He asked all the ladies, "Do you think it's a good thing to do this?" And all the ladies like, "No." "Do you think it was a good thing?" "No." "Do you think it was a good thing?" "Oh no, Mr. Tate, never in a million years." And then he finally got to me. He said, "Do you think it's a good thing?" And I was like, at this time, Tati had got to me. Like we was friends. We was friends. We linked up like we was friends. We was close, super close. We instantly was like best friends. Because she was the only one that was like me. Like I didn't relate to anybody. I felt like a misfit in this place. I felt like a complete, total outcast because everybody looked at me like I was a Satan worshiper for having 1111 tattooed on my arm and for being into tarot cards and crystals and things like that. I don't really do tarot like that anymore. Like I got rid of my tarot cards because I got into my head about it and wasn't really sure if it was like a positive thing, but I don't look at it like it's a bad thing. I feel like it's all about the person doing it. But at the end of the day, where was I? Okay, so he finally got to me. He was like, "I'm sorry, I'll be going way off, but if you really want to hear the story, you'll bear with me, because there's a lot that happened, and I'm remembering new stuff that comes into my mind as I tell the story. So he finally got to me, and he was like, "Do you think it was a good idea, or do you think this was right to do this?" And I was like, at this point, I didn't really, I was done, man. I was done. I had been dealing with this for like 3 months of him just antagonizing me and playing these mind games and just getting entertainment out of people's embarrassment and humiliation. And he did it to me so many times that by this point, I was so tired. And Tati had got to me and she was like, "This man is a piece of bleep and you should be over his bull crap." So in my mind, I'm like, I'm over it. And he kept on badgering me and badgering me. And he was like, "Oh, well, you didn't think it was right, but you're the one that sent it." And all the women look at me like, "Oh, it was Sydney. Oh, it was Sydney who sent the horrible, nasty message of wanting to lay her black butt down so she can relieve herself of her womanly cramps. Oh no, what a devil, bitch." I'm sorry. I'm so mad. Like, I'm literally still mad. Like this is why I'm making this video because I still have anger. I need therapy. I'm angry because of the situation. I need therapy because I'm mad. I really want to go to the cult center and take this dictionary and whack him upside the head with it. That's how mad I am. Y'all be messing up my curls. But anyways, all ladies are like, "Oh, it was Sydney. Oh, that inconsiderate little. Oh, how could she?" You know, and now all ladies looking at me like I did something wrong. But hey, ladies, he would do the same thing to y'all. He would do the same thing to y'all. He would put y'all out, and make y'all, because he'd done it before. He loved, that was his favorite thing to do, was to have a meeting against a woman and make her feel like an idiot in front of all the other women. That was his tactic. He couldn't do it alone. He had to have all the other women there to create, to have them gang up on one person, like like they do in a cult. So to manipulate, it's all a scheme. And he just grilled me and grilled me and grilled me in front of these women, and he wouldn't leave me alone. And I got to a point where I said, because this was me finally standing up for myself, because the whole time in this shelter, he he kept like picking at me, picking on me, and I would always just sit there and take it. He would just say, "Oh, you're not wise," and "Oh, you're a coward," and "You're weak," and he would say it in front of all the women. Mind you, every time he said negative stuff to me, most of the time he would say it in front of the women because it was a part of his scheme. How horrible. Why would you even do that? That's so messed up. Like, you couldn't say it to me one on one. But anyways, just uncovering this stuff. I bet y'all can see it in my face. Like, I'm over it. Like, I'm really genuinely upset thinking about it. And my heart is beating, and I think I'll be thinking about it a lot. And I'm literally like upset. And I need therapy. So anyways, long story short, this meeting went on. I finally stood up for myself and I said, "Mr. Tate, you're making me feel violated." And then I could see in his face that he felt a little uncomfortable. Finally, he felt uncomfortable for making somebody else feel uncomfortable. But then he was like, "Oh, I'm sorry for making you feel uncomfortable." And then he kept on going at it like I never said anything. And I was like, "You're making me feel violated." And he didn't expect that. He didn't expect that I would, say anything against him. He didn't expect that I would stand up for myself. Because he picked on me because he was so used to me not standing up for myself. That's what bullies do. They target the person that doesn't stand up for themselves because they can keep doing it, because they need that. They're energetic vampires. They need energy, they feed off of it. And it was like us women were like these generators for him, these energy generators for him, to give him energy because he was dead on the inside, because he was freaking sociopath. Okay. And so he just kept poking at me. I don't even remember how that whole thing ended, but it went on for a long time, all over a freaking message about my goddamn menstrual cramps. I really need to cuss. Like I can't monetize. Who gives a fuck if they want to monetize me? Shit, I'm fucking mad and I want to cuss. Damn. Okay, because this situation really pisses me off. I need to pee really bad. I'm gonna pause this and go pee. So when Tati came after months and months and months of conforming to Mr. Tate's bullshit, um, she pretty much reminded me of who I was, because he was getting into my head so much that I was literally going to delete my astrology videos and make videos about Jesus. That's how much he was getting into my head. Like I was losing myself. I wasn't me anymore. And there's nothing wrong with being a Christian. There's nothing wrong with believing in Jesus. There's nothing wrong with that at all. It's just that astrology was my thing. I grew up Christian. I was raised Christian. I still read Bible verses to this day. Like I'm not against, any of that, but I do see the flaw in the Christian religion. And when coming across people like him because of this experience, can you blame me for looking at Christians a certain way now? Because all these Christians were brainwashed and they kept trying to brainwash me. And the thing about Christians is they kind of, I've noticed the way that a lot of Christians think is very similar to like how white supremacists think. They will look at you like they're above you and better than you because you're not like them. If somebody's different than them, and of course, this is not all Christians, but from my experience, a lot of Christians, even the kindest of Christians, are so judgmental. And if you are different than them, they will judge you and make you feel like crap, and say you're a sinner and you're not making the right choices. And who are you? You are not God. Who are you to tell me that my life is wrong or I'm not living my life the right way? And a lot of the people in the shelter, like, they would do that. Like look at me like, oh, you're lost and you're doing that satanic stuff just because I have 1111 tattooed on my arm. Like, come on, grow up. Do you even know what Satan worship is? Because I don't really know the details of that, but I'm sure that me getting a tattoo on my arm and believing in higher consciousness and raising the consciousness of the humanity, and knowing about chakras and meditating on a regular basis, I don't see how that's Satan worship. Y'all are delusional and stupid and crazy. So when Tati came, she pretty much was telling me, girl, like, remember who you are. That's pretty much when she came, she reminded me of who I was, because I was losing myself. I also noticed that my self esteem, like, I was dropping, like my self esteem was going down because he kept belittling me so much and beating me down, and pretty much taking out all of my confidence and anything of like me. He didn't want me to believe in myself anymore. And I just was like, I noticed that when I came into the shelter, I was a lot more confident. I would speak up in Bible study more. I would have this confidence about me. And I noticed that as the experience went on, I wouldn't speak up in Bible study anymore. I was very quiet. He kept telling me I needed to keep quiet. I shouldn't have been saying anything. And so I just became this mute, this scared mute who just wasn't even, like, I was a shadow of myself. I feel bad like, just thinking about it. Like, I just feel bad for that version of myself a little bit, because I finally like opened up to my sisters about this experience, and I was crying. I was like, "But it's okay. I'm not the victim. I'm not the victim. I chose to go to this shelter, therefore I'm not the victim." And they was like, "But you are the victim. Like, you were 25 years old. This man was 63, 300 something pounds, or maybe he was, I don't know, he was big, 200, 300 pounds, and I'm over here 110 pounds, getting verbally abused and antagonized, and all in front of the women, when at that time, like, I wanted to fit in. I wanted to be loved and accepted, and he would do stuff like that because he knew that it would make me feel in a way that I didn't want to feel. So I guess in a sense I was, but I don't really like to say that I was a victim ever. Like, I never want to be like, oh, I was a victim. But I guess, for the sake of trying to understand what happened, I guess I was a victim of verbal abuse, a victim of psychological manipulation and psychological abuse. Yes, I was a victim of mental abuse. And it's happening out here in the world. Unfortunately, women are being verbally abused by men, and they're in relationships with men that convince them that they are nothing without this man who is ruining their lives. Mr. Tate wasn't helping me in the way that I thought he was supposed to. He would tell me that he was going to help me. I needed to write out my experiences, my life experiences, so we can go talk about it and heal from it. But he never really gave me that time. He was always supposedly busy, or he'd be talking to somebody else, and I never really had a chance to have a one on one with him to even heal this stuff. I was writing all this stuff thinking that we were going to go over it together, and it never happened. He would make these promises and he really wouldn't even follow through with it, I've noticed. And he would do that with a lot of the women. And then they would be talking to me like, I'm wondering when I'm gonna like actually be able to move forward, because it seemed like he kind of was just keeping the women stuck so that he can use them for his own benefit and for his own gain. And you would hear these success stories of women who actually like after the shelter they got their shit together, and I'm like, okay, well, when am I going to experience that? I've been here for 3 months, and then you had this other lady who was there for like 6 months. It was like I'm stuck. Like, Mr. Tate, can you help me to move forward? And he wasn't really help. He wasn't really hands on, like we all thought that he would be. Like it was almost like an illusion. Like he lied or like acted like he was going to do something, and he really didn't do it. And that's how I felt when I walked away. Like that man didn't help me with shit. He was like he was gonna save me. He was acting like he was gonna save me and be my hero, and he didn't do any of it. So, um, this the perspective that I had on him in the shelter. I started to feel like I was in a plantation field. You know, when Tati came, you know, the stuff that she was saying to me, we had this connection, and my intuition started heightening, and I just started seeing things from a completely different perspective. And then I started noticing that there were a lot of snakes in the shelter. You know, women that I couldn't trust, and my intuition was heightening, and it was just weird. I don't even know what that was. I don't know what like soul mate, soul tie kind of connection that was. We don't talk because she did something really effed up to me. Why do I keep saying effed up? I always said fucked up. She did something fucked up to me. She did something fucked up to me, and I just had to let her go later on. But yeah, she started pointing things out, you know, about the women, and she was like, Sydney, you're becoming an alpha, because I wasn't being suppressed anymore. I was. She reminded me of who I was, and I'm like, oh wait, I'm a powerful black woman. Oh, I forgot. And so I was remembering who I was and remembering my power as a spiritual being, and we really started getting into like our purpose and why we're on this earth. You know what I'm saying? And these posts would pop up, you know, on Pinterest about like raising the consciousness of humanity, and the, you know, there's a certain amount of people who came here to raise the consciousness, and I believe myself to be one of them. And I want to do that through my music. Fall on your knees. Yeah, yeah. But anyways, that's what I do. I make people feel good with my singing voice and with my art and just talking to people. You know, people. I notice people are very drawn to me, and when I speak, a lot of people, everybody listens. You know, so I think that was the most dangerous thing that he could have done, was take my voice from me. The worst thing that he could have done, because my purpose on this earth is, it comes from speech. You know, when I made a speech in front of my speech class, I had my teacher in tears. Like, it's a part of my purpose to heal through speech and through art and stuff. And when I came into that shelter, all I really wanted was to make people feel better, you know, and make people feel good. And all of a sudden, he made me out to be like this villain, you know, and then I was just completely this out of control character that I really wasn't. Like, I was quiet a lot, and I was shy, you know, and I did speak up though. Like, when we were in Bible study, like I would speak up, but I really just was not this out of control person that he kept trying to make everybody see me as. And a part of me felt like it had something to do with race, because in the past I've had like older Caucasian people treat me like I was a ghetto belligerent hood rat when my character didn't match that. Like, I'm over here, I'm a well-spoken nerdy black girl, like I'm a nerd. And whenever somebody treats me like I'm just loud and I'm ghetto and I'm over the top, like That's never been me. I went to a very hood high school. Like I graduated from a very hood high school. I went to three different high schools, and I graduated from a very hood. I'm getting off topic, but I graduated from a very hood high school, and I didn't really fit in because they kept telling me that I talk like a white girl. Okay, so the fact that people like that I'm getting this treatment like I'm so ghetto and belligerent, I feel like there was a racial thing going on. Like the way that he treated me, I just felt like, is it because I'm black? Like sometimes I would think that, and I couldn't really share that with any of the other women because a lot of the women were white, and it was only like two other black people, me, Tati, this other older lady, and then another girl came in who was younger than us, and that was it. It was only like, and but at the time it was just me, Tati, and this older black lady who was a snake, who would throw me under the bus. She would say one thing and lie when Mister. This whole thing, it was a whole thing, child. It was just, it's so much that I can't even, can I even say it all in this video? But yeah, I mean, we should talk about that. How she, um, this girl was so spiritual. Like she was into herbs, she was into tarot cards, she was into crystals. You know, she was a psychic. You know, she gave me a psychic reading. You know, she could sense things about people, and I felt that she has these abilities to literally read into my life. So of course if she's feeling this way about Mr. Tate, it's something there. You know what I'm saying? And I started to see it too. It wasn't that I was it wasn't that I was just listening to what she was saying. I actually started to see it in his character and in just his energy, his vibe. And she would say stuff and it would make me think differently because I was there by myself. And then when she came, it was like, girl, like something ain't right. I felt like I was in a plantation house. We literally had to speak in codes because we weren't allowed to talk about astrology. Because there were cameras in the kitchen, there were cameras all over this place, and we weren't allowed to talk about certain things. And I know he was watching us on them cameras, and I felt always watched. It was just like this eerie energy. Like I would go out on the front porch. I knew he was watching me because the cameras was on the front porch. It was a big old camera in the kitchen. Like he's watching you at all times, and that's how he would know stuff out of nowhere because he was watching you. And so we would like have to speak in codes, like in slavery times. I'm telling you, like I literally, y'all, felt like that. So Raven when she be having her visions, except that I went in the past. I had a vision and went into the past. Like literally, my senses, everything, it just the whole place. It didn't even feel like the place anymore. And I can't even put it into words how supernatural it felt. It literally felt like I had stepped into a time machine and went back to slavery times, and he was the slave master, and me and Tati were the suppressed slaves, and we had to speak in codes like the slaves would do. The codes was singing. I mean, the slaves was singing codes so that the slave master wouldn't be able to, know what they was trying to do. Like they were singing in code so they can escape. And so me and Tati, we would have to text each other so that he couldn't know our plans. I'm like, hey, meet me outside. I'm gonna go out this door, you go out that door, so he don't think we're going out together because he saw us together as a threat because we both powerful ass alpha black women. And she would tell me like, Sid, like you notice how the women they're pulling away from you now that I came. Tati came, and then they started the women who were supposed to be my friend and cared about me. They all of a sudden all could not be around me if I was around Tati because Mr. Tate made Tati look like a villain for standing up for him in the past. And he had a meeting before she came with the women and said, I'm gonna let Tati come back in, ladies. I know. She mouthed off to me. I shouldn't let her back in. He had a whole meeting, and I'm like, you're a grown ass man. Why do you need to have the opinion and approval of these women to bring another woman back into your shelter? Why? It's all a tactic. It's all a scheme. And you're insecure, by the way, and you do care what people think, Mr. Tate. Okay? And I think he cared about what they thought because she's black and a lot of the women were white. And I feel like he was like, I'm letting this crazy black girl back up in here, y'all. I'm just warning y'all. Don't look at me funny now. Like, it's just, there was a bit of racial. I started speculating that it has something to do with race as to why. And then he said this thing that made me think, yeah, it's definitely got something to do with race. Because I said to him, I said, me and Tati, we just click. And he was like, oh, birds of a feather or something. He said something about birds of a feather, and in my mind it made me think the last time I heard a white man say birds of a feather, it was geared towards my sister who was dating a white boy. It was the white boy's father who said, you should be dating that black girl. Birds of a feather stick together. That's what he said to the white boy who told my sister. And I'm thinking, birds of a feather, reminds me of something racist. And then I frowned at him because immediately I'm thinking, you're racist. Okay, like he was born in the 50s. You know they had to have been using the N word or something. Come on now. This man is 60 something. Come on. In my mind, I'm like, you born in the 50s. I know you got some races in you. You ain't, nah, I know you, nah, ain't no way you was born in that time and you ain't got some races in you. And we in the South. And we in the South. We in Tennessee where they be lynching, where they was doing all lynch. Come on now. Come on now. So when he was like birds of a feather, I'm like, I said, birds of a feather? Like, I can't click with a girl. Like, I said we clicked, and he like, oh, birds of a feather, brother of a feather, all da da da, and told me that it wasn't a good idea for me to be her friend or whatever. And I frowned when he said birds of a feather, and then he like, I could see that he like was trying to like backtrack, like, oh, she probably suspect I'm racist, so let me like and then he started covering up like, oh, like-minded people, people who have things, similar interests. He did not say race, but he wanted to. He was thinking it. I know he was thinking it because y'all, I'm intuitive too. I know you was thinking about race, Mr. Tate. I know you was, because we was the only like black girls, and the only other black woman, she was older than us. She was like 40, 50 something, but we both was like closer in age. So birds of a feather, similar interests. Yes, you are right, similar interests, but similar skin tones, Mr. Take. Go ahead and say it. So yeah, I have even more notes that I didn't even like read off any of my notes. Oh my goodness. Also one thing that stood out to me that bothered me was how there was these two females that were literally the snakes of the house. One girl was a brat and always got away with doing wrong, and other people would get in trouble for doing the same thing that she did, and she would always get away with it. Kind of like the younger sibling who's like always favored. He favored her, and then he favored this other lady that I suspect he had a crush on, even though he was a married pastor with children. The way he would talk about her, I just really felt like he had to have an attraction towards this woman. We can call them, because we call them the two A's. Everybody, we had, because nobody really liked these women. Nobody. Everybody saw their snakish ways, and we called them the two A's, right? Because both of their names started off with the A. But I'm not going to give their real A names. I'm going to give them the fake A names. I'm going to call them Annie and Amy, right? So Amy was who we called the hall monitor, because he assigned her to be the house monitor, but he thought none of us would be smart enough to know, okay? And then there was Annie, who was the girl who got away with, you know, laying in bed when she was supposed to be up at a certain time, stuff like that. So during one of the meetings, when I spoke up, because this girl was laying in the bed, getting away with bullshit like she always did, and I was tired of it. Everybody else get in trouble for the same thing she doing. How come she get to get away with it? So I said to one of the ladies, I'm like, how come she get to lay in the bed like da 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 da? I was talking to them about it. I shouldn't have done that because I was just being like them. Usually I don't really talk about people like that. Like that's not really me, but I saw it so much around me that I'm like, well, let me jump on in it too. So I was like, how come she get to lay in the bed? It's past time. We all got to be up at a certain time. She's still laying in the bed, and then they was like, "Won't you go tell Amy? Go tell Amy," which they nicknamed her hall monitor. Go tell hall monitor. Go tell Amy, because Mr. Tate loved Amy and would let her get away with all types of skeevy scheming crap. And she was kind of like the house leader in a certain kind of way. But most people didn't even like her. They didn't even like that was her position. So I went to her, and then it just all hell broke loose. After I went to Amy about it, all hell broke loose. They told me to go to Amy. I wasn't even gonna go to Amy. I was just gonna keep it to myself and keep it pushing. But I listened to them. The older ladies. These were older ladies. All of these ladies were older than me, and this is what they told me to do. So I'm like, respect your elders. I listened. I told Amy. And all hell broke loose. We had a meeting. Again, of course. We had a meeting. Against me. I got in trouble, y'all. I got in trouble. He was like, "You're a coward. You should have just went to her. You shouldn't have went to Amy. Why are you going to Amy? Blah 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 blah." And like making it like I was like a monster, when all I was doing was trying to find some justice in the damn place, because it never was any. And this was a prime example. And he was like, "Why did you care?" Blah blah blah. And I'm like, "Because I just felt like it wasn't fair." And he was like, "Fair, fair," because I used the word fair a couple of times because I felt like nothing was ever fair there. Like I would get in trouble for standing up for people. One of the older ladies got in trouble for speaking out against one of the other women who would do stuff that clearly wasn't right. And then he yelled at the woman who stood up for the bullying. She was doing a lot of that bullying stuff, and she stood up for, we can call her Miss B. Okay, Miss B stood up because she was kind of black, like she was an older white lady, but she was black, and she stood up for a lot of like stood up against the bullying. And then Mr. Tate would scold her and say you're being bossy, and she would get in trouble. And it's like when you would do the right thing, you would get in trouble. And I said, it's just not fair. It's not fair. I used the word fair a couple of times. He was like, there you go with the word fair again. I'm not fair. He was like, the world's not fair. I'm not fair. Pretty much admitting he's not a fair person and that you don't have to be fair. But you're a pastor. And in the Bible, it speaks about fairness. I read the Bible recently. And he does stuff that contradicts the Bible a lot. And that's really the thing that really bothered me. You're contradicting the Bible all the time, but you're a pastor quoting the Bible. When people do something wrong, you quote the Bible like it's nobody's business. But in the Bible, it says to be fair, and you're sitting up here telling me not to be fair, like that you're not a fair person, and that I shouldn't have a desire for fairness in the place where I'm living at. That I shouldn't have a desire for fairness. What? So yeah, after that I just stopped speaking up because I felt like, well, I can't do anything right. Even when I speak up and I think I'm doing the right thing, I get judged, and then I feel like I did the wrong thing, and I felt really bad, like I had done something really wrong. And then little ways down the line, one of the ladies told me, she was like, "You didn't do anything wrong. Mr. Tate just likes to instigate drama between the women. He wanted the women to be against me." And that's why he did it. It was just bullcrap. The whole thing was bullcrap. And I can go into detail. So much that happened in this experience, but I'm honestly tired of talking about it. But I know I do need to really let it out. Um, because I'm still pissed. I'm still pissed. And I mean, I wrote so many notes. Yeah, I don't. Hold on. Yeah, I don't have a lot of time on this videos on the camera, and so I gotta go ahead and wrap it up. But I am gonna throw out this little situation where there was this pregnant girl. I started rubbing her feet, and me and Tati, we had both had this weird sixth sense at the same time about her feet. And just as I was touching the pregnant girl's feet, then Tati said something about her feet. And it was like this weird connection that we had. So I was like, girl, you need to come out and meditate. You need to get grounded because I could just feel, because y'all, like I told you, I had this physical empathy thing, and I could feel from touching her feet something, right? I just felt something towards her feet. And so I touched her feet. It was rock hard at the bottom. And I don't know, I feel like I thought about doing massage therapy because I really could do some Reiki energy healing. Like I can feel energy in somebody's body, and I just knew when I touched the bottom of her rock hard ass feet that I asked her, I said, "Do you feel like you're always in your head a lot?" She was like, "Yes, all the time." And I don't know how I knew that just by touching her feet, but I just felt touching her feet that she wasn't grounded, that all of her energy was in her head and it wasn't in her feet. So that's what I felt when I touched her feet. And so I was ready to rub her feet, give her a foot rub, which was so freaking nice of me. I know, you don't even need to tell me. And guess what happened? I got in trouble by Mr. Tate for rubbing a pregnant woman's feet. Yeah, crickets, ignorance. So he pretty much tried to make me feel like he said anybody could have rubbed her feet. Why you? Like I was supposed to feel bad. And that's one of the things that really hurt me. Like that hurt me so much when he made me feel, because he knew that I'm the middle child, and I had experienced middle child syndrome, and he knew that I experienced my good efforts being overlooked. He did that on purpose to make me feel like that what I did, which clearly was a good thing, he tried so hard to convince me that it wasn't. And that was very hurtful. It was like, damn, like even when I do something kind for somebody like that, is evil, is like a bad thing. Like he said I did it for attention. I'm rubbing a pregnant girl's feet for attention. Wasn't nobody even around but me, Tati, and the pregnant girl. So what attention from who? So yeah. So yeah, long story short, Tati came in and reminded me of my exceptional spiritual abilities. She reminded me of my uniqueness, and that, I didn't need that man to save me. He really was actually hurting me. And I didn't see him as toxic until she said that he was toxic. But yeah, he definitely embodied toxic masculinity very, very well. He even said that a woman shouldn't be a preacher, that a woman can't teach a man, and that only a man can be a preacher, and that a woman she should only be allowed to teach other women and small children, like we're in the 1940s or something. So yeah, the man was very narrow-minded, and I'm glad I'm not there anymore. I'm still mad when I turn this camera off. I might just cuss. Like, I'm still mad about some things, and he really did do things that like really hurt me and made me feel like overlooked, and like my kindness just meant nothing. And looking back on it, that was divine kindness. And the girl was stressed, and she was going through a lot at the time with her boyfriend, and I was her friend. So yeah, so much more happened in that situation, but I've made two videos, and I don't know what else much more I can say, except that if it wasn't for Tati, I would not even be myself. Like, I don't know what would have happened, but it was supposed to happen, and I'm glad that it happened. I learned a lot from this experience. I met so many different types of personalities from all walks of life, and it had its really good moments. Like, there was a lot of love and a lot of laughter and joy. When Mr. Tate wasn't around, when I was with the other women, and we did bond, and I did feel a connection, but I realized a lot of the women couldn't be trusted along with Mr. Tate, and it was just I learned a lot. So yeah, that's all I have for this video. Give this video a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and ladies, protect yourself. And you don't need a man to be successful in life, okay? Like, stop waiting for a man to rescue you. It's dangerous. You're putting yourself in a very vulnerable position, okay? Love yourself and love life. And above all else, protect your mind and value your mind and value your uniqueness. Bye.